Well, hey guys, what is up? It's Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. Another episode of 7 Around 7. Something a little different for you guys this morning. I've got one of your fellow web tennis subscribers with me today, Chris Duggar. And Chris is going to ask, right, what's his number one question? And before we get into that, let's see, this weekend, actually we started yesterday, I've got a new course to help you in doubles when you're returning serve, and specifically when you've got that really active servers partner up there, right? Dancing around, fake poaching, kind of really getting inside your head. And the course that I've got for you is going to show you, number one, how to freeze that servers partner so that that cross court lane looks like an 8-lane freeway over there. I mean, it's so wide, and you just get confident that you can drive your forehand or backhand topper returns over there cross court, and really do what you want to do. So look, the link for that course is down below in the comments area, down below in the description area. So when we're done today, guys, make sure that you check that out if you haven't already done so. So guys, I want you to meet Chris Duggar. Chris, good morning. I know you're in Louisville, Kentucky, and you've been a web tennis subscriber for a while now. And we actually had the opportunity to meet each other over in Asheville, North Carolina, when I played that tournament, the Asheville City Open. Gosh, it's been over almost 3 weeks ago. I think 2.5 weeks. So, Chris, good morning. What's going on?
Good morning. Just looking forward to being able to chat with you real time, and it was great to see you. Finally, we, had some connection online, but it was terrific to be able to sit and chat in Asheville. It's a nice tournament there.
Yeah, that was good. Well, listen, first of all, I appreciate you entering the tournament and actually coming out. And as we were talking about a couple times before we went live here, you're really right in the sweet spot of the guys that at least a certain portion of the guys that I coach, and the women too, who, maybe took some time off as you started getting into the real world in terms of a job career and then raising a young family. And I think in your case, didn't you say you took off around 20 years before you got back into the game? And now you kind of you're fired up, not only start playing more, but actually start competing and playing some tournaments.
Yeah, I've really come back to tennis, twice in my life. So I came back in my early 30s and ended up, taking solid training and lessons in Wichita, and, played some, city tournaments there, and then moved to the Southeast and discovered, clay courts, which was an epiphany that, points actually went on more than, 3 shots. And then in the mid 90s, family career. And then really finally I retired in 2016 and kind of sat around for a year and said, we have to do something.
Yeah.
And I kind of said, you used to love tennis. Maybe there's still a tennis player in there. So I went back, got some coaching, but really after 20 some years, it's like starting almost from scratch. And then I just kind of went, if you want to be serious about this, you need to be playing real competition. And now I'm hooked.
Good. Well, look, I know you took my advice at some point and got in touch with Phil and Mikey Landauer and then Mark Vines down in Naples, Florida, where they've got several times a year. They host what they call the SET camps. I think it's called Senior Excellence Tennis Camps.
Correct.
And you went down there. I know you had a great experience. Phil's one of the all-time great humans, not only in the world, but certainly in the tennis world. And so I'm really glad that you got hooked up with those guys. So Chris, let's kind of fast forward to really what's your number one question right now, where you're at with your game. It's been a couple of years since you've been working your way back into it. I know you've played some tournaments. I know you've taken your lumps along the way, which is standard fare for
right.
when you kind of put yourself back out there in tournaments. But currently, today, what is your number one question, Chris?
Well, I guess the number one question is, I'm at the place where I've got, I think, good rally tolerance, and I've got a puncher's chance a lot of times, and I'll find myself, the point is finally developed where I'm either gotten into the forecourt, I really have an opportunity, to put real pressure, and I chunk it, or the ball, nice approach shot, too bad it was 6 inches wide.
Yeah.
So it's having that composure, I guess. And you've talked about, your first shot instinct, and that may be, me part of it, that all of a sudden this fat sitter and your eyes get real big, and you have 3 choices. And unfortunately, the fourth one you didn't think of was you hit it long. So, just how to try to extinguish that, because it's kind of soul crushing at times. And you really,
yeah. Well, look, we've got in the background here. Let me see. Not sure what's going on there. That's better. Yeah, so that's really a common thing, and I find myself with the same situation too, which is you do work the point to a place where you have either forced a short ball, or maybe their shot tolerance over there isn't quite as high as yours, and they end up coughing up a short ball, and now you've got something that's sitting there just begging you. Just the ball's the size of a grapefruit, and your mind kind of goes into this thing that, well, I should end the point right here. And there's a couple things going on that actually are out of your control. Number one, you cannot tell that opponent over there. Let's say that you're going for the ad corner with your shot. You can't tell them that they have to stand wherever they are, whether it's in the middle or maybe they're recovering from the deuce corner. You can't tell them they can't go and anticipate or guess that that's where you're going. And in the back of our minds, there's a little voice that kind of knows that, and it kind of says, you better hit this one even bigger. Even though you've got what right now for that nanosecond is a big target, you better go ahead and hit this one even bigger, just in case that guy over there guesses where you're going to go. So I always think about it as it's never a point-ending opportunity. It's always a possible 2-shot play. And for me, that's okay. I used to kind of panic on it, and I'd go big and I'd bury it deep. I'd bury it in the net. I'd go wide. I'd make my target really tiny. And I think what I found over time was that when I would play the top guys in my age group and they were presented with that situation against me, I would notice that they really wouldn't panic on it. And lots of times I would guess where they were going. I would get to it, but then I would cough up something even easier for them with a bigger wide open court, which required just a little bunt volley over there. So number one, you're going to have to not think about result, and you're going to have to continue to think about, well, what's the height over the top of the net I want to play this shot, and just assume it's going to be a 2-shot situation, and be okay with that. And it's like the words of Dick Johnson, I'm going to hit my shot where I want to, and I'm assuming that it's going to come back, and that's okay. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't hit a high-quality ball over there, but I think it's, in the words of Jeff Jacklich, who says, approach shots, should not be a missed winner.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's nothing where it's like a light switch. You and I are talking about this. Other people are hearing this, and they're going to intellectualize it and go, well, that makes sense, Brent. Now I've got it. Well, no, you don't. You need to go out there and practice this thing like crazy. And eventually you can take what you've done in the practice court, and it will eventually start to transfer over to your matches, whether it's league matches or tournament matches. It won't be a full wholesale one time, I've got it, and now I take it over. You'll take it over in some situations, might be against an equal or lesser skilled player than you. And you, in your mind, the voice will go, you know what? It's okay. You can go ahead and do this as we're coaching today, and it'll work. But then you'll get against someone, or you're in a tight match and you go, God dang it, I want to end the point. And you're going to miss it again. So you're not quite ready for that top level where you really trust it. And and that's really where you start to believe in that you trust it, and that does it work each and every time? Absolutely not, because there's no guarantee on any of this stuff ever. And all that you can do is try to up your average on it. And so I would get out there with a practice partner and maybe just play some practice points and wait for that short ball. Once you get it, just decide, here's my target, and I'm assuming it's coming back. That's okay. And we'll just take it from there.
I think the other recognition sometimes is that you finally realize you're in a position to end this point, and you just rush. I mean, it's like after you've done whatever you've done, you realize, you had more time than you gave yourself.
Well, but you just preface with that, I have an opportunity to end the point.
Yeah.
And you've got to take that phrase out of your tennis life. You have an opportunity to take control of the point.
Fair enough.
But you never have an opportunity to end the point. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen it on the tour. I don't know how many times I've done it myself. I've got a wide open court. Literally, the guy's falling down in the alley over there. And all I got to do is just put the thing back in the court, and we miss.
Yeah.
So, and we miss either because we have that thought, I rush it, right? Or, well, there's just no way I'm going to miss this. And you stop concentrating.
Yeah.
So I would first of all say, don't ever think I've got an opportunity to end the point.
The other thing that I'll admit to is that, any number of times, I've got a ball and, my shot choice is I'm going to hit it, a chip approach down the line, when really I also had a big fat opportunity just to hit a short drop shot cross court. And I confess to Phil Landauer, that, there's a lot of guys that you're going to see out there that are happy just to drop shot you almost to death, especially on a hot day. And it's like, I admitted to him, I said, I should probably use the drop shot more, but it's like, I don't want to be that guy. And he just laughed at me. He said, you need to get over that.
He is so right. And look, you're not the Lone Ranger on that. I've got guys, I think I told you a story, a friend of mine at the Berkeley Tennis Club, this was years ago. And he plays a lot of the national events, and we were just talking about, maybe I asked him the same question. I said, well, what's the number one thing you're working on now? And he told me whatever it was. I want to really, really take my forehand big over there. And I said, well, have you ever considered when you get that short ball that why not, once in a while go ahead and just throw in a dropper? And he goes, oh, come on, man, that's not tennis. And I told him, and I'm not going to repeat his name, but I said, I can't help you. I just can't help you, man. So, no, you're right, Chris. That's really an opportunity that I don't think I recognized until maybe 12, 15 years ago. Because back then I was pure serve and volley, first and second serve. And so there were some there were maybe some transitional serve and volley shot opportunities to play a dropper. But sometimes those were more just because the return was so tough. I was just trying to just dig it out and not set it up. So I would definitely mix in on that approach, right? Not the point ending opportunity, but the approach.
Mm.
Play some approaches right up the line the way you want to. Play some approaches right in the middle and force that guy to have good footwork to get out of the way. Right. Even if you're going up the line and you're assuming that it's going to be a two-shot play, okay, that's good. Obviously, if you go right at him, now the chances are up even higher. It's going to be a two-shot play, and that's okay. And then mix in what looks like one of those two and just disguise and go to acting school on here comes a dropper.
Yeah.
Right? And they may get to that too, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, my focus right now, because I'm really very comfortable in the forecourt. I think, I've got good volley mechanics, and I'm happy to, be up there and work through it. But when I go to the better events and I see, the seeds and the guys that are really at the top of the senior game, they're just pretty flawless, off the ground.
And flawless does not mean that technique wise they're incredible. Flawless just means it's pretty rare when they miss.
It's rare when they miss, but they just don't. They virtually never just sort of give up a short ball. I mean, their ball has consistent depth. I think I may have told you. I mean, I'm happy taking the ball on my forehand. I short hop pretty well. Happy to take it right at the top of the rise. And what I'm working on now is to have that same confidence on the backhand side. And I see these guys, and they just have a slice that has authority to it. So that, those are really, you're always working on everything, but my focus right now is just to really have consistent, good depth ground strokes off of both sides. And when I get a ball, I can pull a trigger. I can pull a trigger.
Good. Okay. All good stuff, Chris. All good stuff. All normal stuff. Get in line. I mean, you're not the Lone Ranger on this by any means. And the reality is that you're doing the right stuff. You're getting out there. You're looking for tournaments that you can play. You're looking for experiences, right? So for me, what's the foundation of becoming better? Well, the foundation, number one, I think there's kind of 5 things. Number one is minimizing stroke technique, not actually adding more stroke technique, but minimizing it so that you can become more consistent the way that you're talking about in terms of depth and rarely missing. Number 2, tactics and strategy. Exactly. Looking for short balls that and opportunities that you can come in on. Tactics being exactly what we talked about in terms of the approach shots, mixing in different ones so that you don't become predictable with it.
Right.
The third thing is physical, right? You and I kind of went at it. We kind of got, I kind of got in your face a little bit earlier this week and just said, you got to up it. You got to actually up the physical stuff, even though I know a lot of it's no fun. A lot of it's boring. Some of it kind of hurts the next morning. Okay. And part of that's eating right. Yeah. Getting the kitchen right. Fourth thing is mental. We've got to work on this stuff, whatever it is, technique, tactics, and we've got to be able to mentally, I should say consciously work on it in practice. But then the second part is, how do you take it over then to the match without having to have a whole bunch of thoughts in your mind about, number one, how to manufacture technique, but how to be thinking, well, what do I do here, as opposed to just going with your first instinctive shot choice. And then the fifth thing are our experiences. You can't intellectualize any of this. You fine, you can intellectualize it, but then you take it to the practice court, and then you take it to the practice match court. But you've got to see where you're at by actually going out there and playing league matches and playing tournament matches, as you're doing. You're in the small percentile, I think, of the guys who are doing all 5 of those.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Foundational things.
Night and day between the practice singles match and when you walk out in front of God and everybody at a tournament. It's like, okay, are we going to do it or not?
That's right. So, and for me, when I first did the experiences back in the day, I was panicked. I was nervous. I was beating. I'll have a couple matches I'll never forget. I beat a guy 1-1 up in Sonoma, right, Northern California. And on the way home, I'm cramping like a monster because I was so nervous beating a guy who could barely get the ball in the court that I'm cramping. I had to stop, pull over, and get out of the car and walk around. And for me, the only way to get over that was to just put myself out there over and over and over again, and not really cherry pick. Well, let's see, this year I'm going to play this one tournament in Louisville if I feel okay. And then I'll go down to Asheville and play those guys if I feel okay. And then we'll now you just got to, and look, I know you're retired. I know that the family's grown up and out of the house. You got the perfect opportunity to be able to do all this stuff, Chris. So listen, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks,
Chris,
Brent.
hope this helped a lot. Guys,
Thank you.
comments, questions, remarks down below in the comments area. Would love to read and respond as always. And then just a reminder, in the description area, there's a link that will take you over to a brand new course that I put out there about how to help you do a couple things with your doubles return to serve. Number one, how to freeze that active server's partner so that now you've got this wide open cross-court lane to be able to just top, rip, mash, whatever adjective you want to use, but feel comfortable that you've got a wide open lane over there to be able to play your forehand and backhand return to serve into. Guys, that's it for me today. Chris, thanks again, man. Always good to hang out with you.
Enjoyed it.
Guys, if you'd like to be able to get on with me in a, what's your number one question episode, just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. As always, it's time. We got to get out there. We got to help someone else. Have a spectacular day. Guys, I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. See you, Brent.
All right.